How's it going, everyone? It's Hobby from Where This One Shot 1000, and today we're going to forecast the 2021 summer season. So, before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather icons. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather icons. So, let's begin by taking a look at the current Nino temperature anomaly, the sea surface temperatures anomaly in the Nino 3.4 region, which is a region typically used to determine whether we're in a La Nina phase or an El Nino phase. And as you can see, ever since I'd say right around May or June of 2020, we've been deep in a La Nina phase, which is one of the primary reasons why we not only saw a much warmer than average summer throughout the United States last summer, but as well as a very major hurricane season, a record-breaking hurricane season. And you see that the sea surface temperatures have been lower than average for pretty much almost a year straight, around 10 consecutive months. And we've been under the negative 0.5 degrees Celsius threshold for about 8 months now. So we've been deep in a La Nina phase for a very long time. However, if we take a look at the sea surface temperatures in Nino 3.4 region over the past several months, you do see that we're now experiencing a little bit of a warmth in the sea surface temperatures. And you might be thinking, well, what does the La Nina have to do with what type of conditions you're going to experience this summer? And it has a lot to do with what temperatures you'll experience this summer and what type of conditions you'll experience this summer, because as you can see that we are experiencing rising temperatures in the Nino 3.4 region, which means that the forecast is now more lenient on bringing a neutral phase going into this summer. There's a higher probability of a neutral phase for majority of the summer from June, July, and even into August, where at this point it seems more likely that a neutral phase will occur during these months rather than a La Nina phase. However, the thing I want to point out with the La Nina or neutral phases is that typically during summers after a La Nina begins, like last summer, we typically see very warm summers out of this. As the Weather Channel states, if we take a look at the summers following the first La Nina winters, as you can see here, this is pretty much the average of all temperatures of all the seasons right after a La Nina phase. And you see that majority of the United States during a summer after a La Nina phase is very warm, is much warmer than average for the most part. And this extends through 15 years. And out of those 15 summers we've experienced where the summer came after a La Nina phase began, 4 of them were in the top 10 hottest summers on record. So it's pretty much based off of the data of the average we've seen over the past over 50 years, we could determine that this summer will be much warmer than average for most of the United States based off of the historical data, where typically during summers after a La Nina phase, we see much warmer than average temperatures for majority of the United States. So as a result, you guys should expect for a lot of the United States, especially in the states such as the right around the Rocky Mountain regions and the Pacific North and the Pacific Coast, should experience much warmer than average temperatures as well. And this even extends to the Northeast coast. However, the La Nina isn't the only determinant we need to keep track of when determining the conditions for the summer. We also need to take a look at the computer models, the climatology models, which pretty much synthesize all sorts of different factors and details and pretty much computes it and makes a forecast out of the historical data and the data it collects So if we were to take a look at that, the CFS model, so let's first take a look at the forecasted precipitation anomaly. And you see that for most of the United States, it's going to be, I'd say, average in terms of precipitation. There isn't going to be many areas where it's going to be easily noticeable, where it's going to be much drier than average or much more moist than average. But if you were to take a look at the most of the United States, you see that in the Northwest specific, you should the current forecast is that you guys will experience much drier than average summer season, which includes the months of June, July, and August, which I'm only including those months. I know September is still partially included in the summer, but September is still ways away, and pretty much the heart of the summer is really June, July, August. So in this video, I'm gonna focus on those 3 months, and then I might focus on September once we get closer to that month. But you see that the current forecast from the CFS is that we're going to experience much drier than average conditions in the Pacific Northwest, and in the Southeast, especially towards Florida, the current forecast is more moist than average conditions. And I assume that this will be exacerbated by the hurricane season, which is expected to be above average for this year, and much warmer than average temperatures throughout the United States will certainly enhance the risk of hurricanes throughout the Southeast, and pretty much enhance the risk of active hurricane season in general, which would induce a little bit more moisture in the Southeast. Because even though it may not be, let's say, a hurricane exactly, there's at least going to be a lot of lift in the atmosphere if the temperatures are going to be much warmer than average for the United States. Because if the temperatures throughout the United States are going to be much warmer than average, obviously the ocean temperatures will heat up to the point where it's going to be the sea surface temperatures are going to be well above average for the year, and that will induce more lift in the atmosphere, more convection, and as a result, it should be more moist and humid throughout the Southeast, especially right along the Gulf Stream, where there's going to be sea surface temperatures just warm enough to induce a lot of, let's say, low pressure systems around this area. Even if they don't form into fully fledged tropical storms or hurricanes, there still is going to be a lot of thunderstorm activity associated with these small low pressure systems that could form, and the sea surface temperatures will just enhance the amount of convection. And this even extends to the Northeast, where we do see some patches of more moist than typical conditions based off what the CFS model is forecasting. So as a result, I'd say for a lot of the East Coast, it should be a slightly more moist summer than usual, and it should be much more moist than usual right around Florida based off what the CFS model is saying, and the computer models, while they certainly could be wrong, the forecast certainly could change as we head closer and closer to the summer months. But I'd say it's better to trust the computer models more as being more likely than not to happen, because their computer models, they calculate just a ton of factors, and they use just a ton of historical data. So it's not like it's going to be completely inaccurate, as it's at least going to be, I'd say, somewhere around the ballpark of what we're going to experience this summer. So we just need to keep a close eye on this computer model, see if there's any changes. But as of right now, it's forecasting a drier than usual summer throughout the West Coast, and a more moist than usual summer along the East Coast. And we do have some dry patches right around the Southeast you need to keep in mind of. But for the most part, it should be average in terms of precipitation for most of the United States, with the exceptions being the Pacific Northwest and the East Coast. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, in terms of the temperature anomaly that the CFS model is forecasting, let's take a look at the 2-meter temperature anomaly all across the United States, which includes the months of June, July, and August. And you see that pretty much the entire lower 48 is going to experience temperatures much warmer than average. And at this point, I'm becoming sort of just used to just having just warmer than average summers, as climate change is one of the enhancing factors of just warmer than average summers over recent years, where it's now becoming difficult for the United States to experience a cooler than average summer. Obviously, it could happen. There will be summers, obviously, in the future that will be considered cooler than average for a lot of United States. However, now the trend has been leaning towards warmer summers as a result of climate change and as a result of global temperatures just rising overall throughout the globe. So as a result, a warmer than average summer in terms of temperatures should be forecasted through the United States. But it's not only the fact that it's climate change, because obviously, although climate change is occurring, we still obviously could experience colder than average summers. One of the main reasons why we're going to experience a much warmer than average summer throughout the United States is, like I said before, we're gonna come off of a La Nina phase from last summer, and typically speaking, when there's a La Nina phase in one summer, typically the next summer we experience much warmer than average temperatures, and that's expected to be the case throughout the United States. And also, another thing I want to point out is currently a lot of the West Coast is under just a very bad drought, and typically when there's a bad drought in a region, it typically enhances the risk of just a warmer than average summer, because obviously since it's so dry, there isn't much moisture for the atmosphere to absorb on the ground, and it sort of just creates an endless cycle where when there isn't rain, there isn't that much moisture to evaporate, and since there's not much moisture to evaporate, there's less clouds in the sky to potentially block the shortwave radiation from the sun from hitting the ground. And as a result, more shortwave radiation hits the ground, it becomes warmer, and it's just an endless cycle where the drought continues for just a prolonged period, which is why droughts typically don't go away just in one day or overnight. They typically take a very long time to go away, because it's just an endless cycle that's just very difficult to get out of. And that's certainly expected for a lot of the United States, where there's expected to be a major drought all throughout the US right here. And that's going to create a much warmer than average summer for the most part for a lot of the United States. So we need to keep a close eye on that. And in terms of my total forecast for the United States, you see that it's going to be pretty much warmer than average throughout the United States, more warm and moist than average. And I did write hurricane threat because obviously this hurricane season is expected to be more active than typical. I will make a hurricane season video. It's going to come very shortly, maybe tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But for most of the United States, it's going to be mainly dry and very warm, so it should be a good summer for a lot of you guys. However, it is concerning for the West Coast, where a major wildfire threat could be possible as a result of just how hot it will be and how dry it will be. So we need to keep a close eye on that throughout the United States. So yeah, guys, make sure to prepare for the summer, enjoy the summer wherever you are, because it's going to be a very warm summer and very dry for the most of the United States. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. And I hope you guys have a good day.